All right, it's Sunday morning. Good morning, ladies. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, ladies. How are you? Okay. Happy Sunday. Coffee talk. Angela, good morning. How are you? Glad to see you this morning. What's going on? Just sitting here on the Sunday morning. Of course, I didn't go find my music, so I'll just hang out. Hope you ladies had a great weekend so far. What's going on? How you feeling this morning? Happy Sunday. Got my coffee here this morning. What are you drinking? Ladies, say good morning when you come on so I will know that you are there. And you know I just love to call out your name on Sunday morning because I appreciate you for getting up and joining me. Happy Sunday morning. Hey, it was Valentine's Day. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Want to know if everyone had a great Valentine's Day, and or if you're still enjoying this. Was it a weekend for you? You know, some people had Valentine's Day. Some folks had the whole weekend planned. So, good morning, Sylvia. How are you? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Ladies, as you come on, say good morning. Let me know that you are there. Appreciate you hanging out with me on Sunday. I missed you on Sunday mornings because for the last 2 Sundays we've had guests. Today I'm it though. I'm your guest. I'm the person you get to listen to today. Hope you don't mind. Thank you. Appreciate that. So as you come on, say good morning to me so I'll know you're there. Tell me what's going on with you. What are you drinking? What's in your cup? Hey, Kimberly, good morning. Good to see you. Appreciate you this morning, ladies, as always. Getting up and joining me on Sunday morning. What's in your cup? What are you drinking? I'm sitting here juggling notes. I'm just giving ladies time to come on. Okay, but you got me today. Hey, Megan, how are you? Yep, you have me today, ladies, but I'm glad you're here this morning. What's going on? What's in your cup? Happy Sunday. Hope your morning's off to a great start. What did you do for Valentine's Day? Anybody do anything exciting? Any big plans? All-Star Weekend here in Chicago. And it's the auto show, so there's a lot going on here. I was thinking about Valentine's Day. Good morning, Julie, Pam, Alita, how are you? And I remember back in the day when I was younger, it was a big deal that I would have it for me, you know, to have a date on Valentine's Day. And if not, you know, I felt some kind of way. Well, I'm not dating anybody, but I was so grateful for this Valentine's Day. Number one, I'm alive. Number two, I'm healthy. And I'm in a good place mentally, spiritually, physically, and all the whole thing. So hung out. Actually, a friend of mine called and she's like, hey, why don't we do crab cakes and champagne? I'm like, I'm there. So I had a great time, went to her house, and we sat and ate and watched the All-Star game on Celebrity Game on TV, and was just a great evening. But years and years ago when I was younger, I'd have been like, no, I don't have a date, so I'm just going to stay home. but it's amazing how you change and evolve and you grow once you get older. And some of the things that defined you when you were younger, all of a sudden, you have you start to look at life and live from a different perspective. And it's all about gratitude. And like I said, I was just so grateful. So to be here and to be healthy, and I am a person. I'm whole. So when I was younger, I think I was caught up in that. Well, if I don't have a man, if I don't have someone to hang out with me on Valentine's Day, then that makes me, some whatever my thoughts were at that time. But I said all that to say, I hope you ladies had a wonderful Valentine's Day weekend. If anybody did anything exciting, let me know. But thank you for joining me. It is coffee talk time this Sunday morning. And I had planned to have a guest, but our timing and our scheduling just didn't work out. So you have me this morning. So welcome to Coffee Talk, ladies. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, I appreciate you. My chair is sliding down here. Give me a sec. I didn't lock it, so it's locked now. So what I want to talk about today is something, I mentioned this before, but I've been spending a lot of time talking and thinking about this to myself, and that's the ego. So, and especially now that I'm more intentional about my thoughts, how I respond to people, how I view how people respond to me. So I've been doing a little bit of research on the ego. So I want to talk about that in a few minutes. But before I do that, I want to thank Danica and Kimberly for being the guest on the show and sharing their inspirational messages to us. And they talked about, Kimberly talked about conscious awakening, and Danica talked about loving yourself. So I want to just give them a shout out and to say thank you to them for being on the show. And ladies, if you want to be a guest on the show, I encourage you, please just let me know. You can inbox me or just put it right here in the group. I'll pick it up and see it. But if you want to be a guest, it's a great way, if you're growing, you're evolving, number one, just to share your experience. And once you share your experience, it's freeing, to just be able to share, because that's just another level of growth. So if you want to be on the show, please let me know, because I would love to have you as a guest. So let's just talk about ego for a minute. I'm not going to keep you long. So, and I want to start off again by reading Inspirations of the Soul, because I keep this book in my bed with me. And I'm always reading a message. But one of the things that I focus on every single day, and we've talked about this, is being intentional. And it's the very first inspirational message in the book, being intentional. And be intentional, just like a butterfly, you are designed to transform and evolve. A child changes with every developmental stage and experience. The more they learn and grow, transform, the more of themselves they become. A child dreams about what they want to become. It comes naturally, and there are endless possibilities. The same is true for adulthood. The more we transform, the more of ourselves we become. But as adults, the dynamics changes. Our capacity to learn, grow, and transform so naturally as a child now comes under our conscious control and can only be activated by our intentional attention and choices. Intentional intention and choices. Be intentional about your decisions and choices. Dare to dream, dare to grow, dare to tap into the full, dare to tap into and unleash the person within you. You're designed to live a great life. So I've been thinking about being intentional all the time. So as a result, I'm always conscious of my thoughts. And sometimes what I've learned when I want to make a comment, I'll have to stop and question myself. Where is this coming from? Is this coming from the heart? Is this coming from a place of love? Or is this your ego? And I find myself thinking about that a lot lately. So here's what I've done. So I went and I just did a little bit of research about ego, because I'm trying to understand, because I'm trying to learn and understand myself more, because I truly want to be connected to the essence of who I am, and that's the spirit. That's how I kind of look at it. And anything that I feel may separate me from that true person, that true essence, the spirit, then I'm trying to understand what's the logic, what's the reason behind it. So that's kind of where I am. And because the ego keeps coming up and popping in my head, I'm like, oh, I'll share that this morning. I'll talk about ego on Coffee Time. So I went and I started doing a little bit of research on ego. It's like, what is the ego? The ego is your conscious mind, the part of your identity that you consider yourself. But if you say someone has a big ego, then you are saying he's too full of himself. So every time I've ever thought about ego, I've always thought about it in a negative way. And I think I've shared that with you before. So the question is it good to have an ego? Confidence and competence. It is not being egotistical to know you're good at what you do. Egotistical is when you don't have the competence and experience to back up your confidence. That kind of ego is worth criticizing. However, it is equally detrimental to be great at your work and downplay your value. Then it goes on to talk about the Latin word of self-worth. Then what is the purpose of the ego? Now, this is what really got me, and this is why I said I have to take this a little bit further. So the purpose of the ego, and I just Googled this, so you can go into and just Google it. Ego has a big and beautiful purpose in our life. It is said that the purpose of the ego is to cause you great levels of unhappiness and suffering, so that hopefully one day, after trying to change the world and people around you, you can look inside and decide to change yourself. So I said, well, that's deep, because ego keeps coming up to me. So I'm thinking to myself, it's a part of who I am, right? So I took it a little step further. Now, because I'm thinking, and then I read the spiritual goal of many traditions involves the dissolving of the ego, and once that occurs, one's own true higher self will be experienced and demonstrated in the world. So it's almost like the ego is a part of our personality, but we have to destroy it so that our own true self can be. So I'm like, well, why does the ego keep popping up then to me? So I have to destroy this part of me so that the true essence of who I am can just be, right? And I can live in that space, be in the true essence of who I am if I destroy the ego. So that didn't make a lot of sense to me either, because ego keeps popping up. So I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be something more, to just me destroying this personality or this part of my conscious thinking, right? So I took it a step further. Well, the purpose of the ego, and this is taken from Sigmund Freud and traditional psychology, and it kind of duplicates what I just read. It says many of us have been taught to believe the ego is a problem and something we want to eliminate and be free of, right? Because if we say a person has a big ego or if they're full of themselves, we look at it from a negative perspective. So many on this spiritual journey do battle with the ego and see it as the nemesis of this spiritual growth. The ego has been blamed for getting us into social trouble and causing us to say and do things that are not in our highest good. So if you're using your ego to manipulate people, of course, or if you're using your ego to separate yourself and think you're bigger than other people, then of course, right? So I said, okay, I need to go a step further, because I'm still thinking every day about this ego, because I'm conscious of my decisions, and I'm thinking, is this coming from a place of love, or is this coming from a place of, being vindictive or whatever? So I took it a little further. And to make a long story short, you can integrate it. So you don't have to battle the ego. You can integrate it. Here's why. The ego, instead of something to fight with, can be seen as another tool on your tool bench. Its purpose is to test you, to give you pop-up quizzes along your path to better refine your abilities, perspective, and way of being. The ego's job is to help you step up to higher and finer platforms to become who you came here to be. Now that made sense to me. So if my ego challenges me, if it challenges me to be a better person, if it challenges me and helps and encourages me and gives me courage, then that is helping me be the true essence of myself. For instance, if I'm working on something and it could be very challenging and I want to quit and the ego says, is that what you're going to do? You're going to quit and give up? But I keep working and I keep working, and then all of a sudden I find that I can do it, or I've done this. Now the ego has encouraged me to finish it. Now I feel stronger. I feel I have more courage. But guess what? I keep my mouth shut and I use it to keep going and to keep going. Now, if I sit and brag about my ego or I did this because A, B, C, D, and I'm trying to put myself up here, that's one thing. But if it's a tool to encourage me, to push me, to become all I can be, then that's a different perspective. I felt good about that. Now I can integrate it, but I still must be conscious of how I am using this ego. So this ego is a part of me, a part of who I am, that will encourage me and push me to do and be the best person that I can be. But I don't think, from my perspective, I've never been taught about the ego from that way. I've always learned or remember the ego, thinking of it from a negative perspective. But when I read that I could integrate it because it's a tool, I felt great. I felt better about it. So the ego, instead of something to fight with, can be seen as another tool on your tool bench. Its purpose is to test you, to give you pop quizzes along your path to better refine your abilities, perspective, and way of being. The ego's job is to help you step up to a higher and finer platforms to become who you came here to be. And I felt really good about that. And here I am at this age, and I won't lie, that this research or this just being curious about the ego led me to do a little Googling to learn more about the ego. And I can honestly say, this is the first time I started to look at my ego from a different perspective. When you integrate it with the essence of who you are, it's a tool that will help you be a better person, or to be the person, as it says in here, you were put here to be. But I did go a little step further, and I just want to share this with you. There are signs that your ego is in control of your life. And I think that's the perspective that I always learned and applied the ego in my mind, So I just want to share these with you really quickly. And I just want to know what you think and what role does the ego play in your life, or have you even thought about it? Okay, so signs that the ego is in control of your life: too much is never enough, you want more and more and more, and that's greed. Disliking people when they succeed, sometimes, especially with friends, people you grew up with, and all of a sudden, they're on this journey and they're succeeding and you're still stuck at wherever you were before. So disliking the person because they're succeeding and you're not. Redirecting the attention back to you. And I know you've been in conversations with people like that. Every time you see them, whatever you're talking about, it always comes back to them. It's the ego. Constantly comparing yourself. The ego's out of control. Craving respect and recognition. recognition, can even say that. But remember, respect and recognition starts at home. Always being defensive. Really, if ever helping others, you're feeding your ego. Setting unattainable goals. Setting goals is a powerful, productive action that empowers us to strive for excellence. It is human nature to desire accomplishment and the rewards that come with achieving a goal. However, setting unrealistic goals is counterproductive, often done out of ego or pride. So be conscious of that as you establish your goals going forward. And the last one is manipulating others. So those are signs that your ego is out of control. But I wanted to share that with you because, again, with being intentional of your thoughts and your actions, for me, ego kept popping up. And I kept asking myself, am I doing this out of love? Or am I coming from a place of somewhere else? And that led me, ego kept popping up, and that led me to do some research on ego, like what is the ego and what role is the ego playing in my life? So, and I always thought the ego of something as negative, but now I've learned the ego is a part of you and you can integrate it, but it's how you use the ego. So that's it, ladies. Let's see what kind of comments we got. But I was really excited when I saw the integration part. I was like, yes, because I kept thinking this is a part of me, you know. And plus I was wondering, why am I keep thinking about ego? Why is the word ego even coming up in my mind? So I'm glad it happened, because now I can understand it better. I don't have to try to shut it down or fight it. I need to understand it and make sure that I'm using it as a tool to help me grow and evolve, but not as, based on the factors that I just read being out of control or the ego being in control of my life. So let's see what we got here for comments and how you feel about it. Have any of you been experiencing, have you been thinking about the ego at all? Maybe I'm the only one. That's possible. I'm a little crazy sometimes. So I'm just curious as to how you feel about it or whether any comments. So, let's see what we got. Oh, I got Valentine's Day comments. This is cool. Let's see what we got. We'll go back to that. Oh, Crystal, you're just too kind. Leader, 2 new plans. Great. Grab me some goodies. There you go. Valentine's Day celebration. I'm glad you enjoyed. All right, ladies. Chris said the last 2 guests on Coffee Talk was very inspiring. They were, and I'm looking forward to having more of you on. Megan says, I love this topic. Understanding the concept of ego in my life has been a great teacher. Kimberly, thank you for the comment. Powerful reflection, Janice. Use your ego, don't let it use you. Now you know what, Pam, I'm writing that one down. Use your ego. Using my ego as a tool to grow and don't let it use me. I'm gonna steal that one. You'll hear that one again, just so you know, Pam. So I'm telling you right now, you will hear that one again. All right. So that's been my what I've been thinking about these last few weeks, really spending some time thinking about the ego, just being, because it's all in alignment with being intentional. Because remember, I think for 2020 is my time to leap and to live our best life and expect good things and accept things and prosper. It's all, you have to be in alignment, and making sure that you are making decisions and choices that are aligned with 2020 is my time to leap. And that's why I think the ego kept popping back up in my life. So, but I feel good knowing that I can integrate it. So just a couple of things really quickly, ladies. Again, if you want to be a guest on the show, please, I would love to have you. And if you're thinking, ladies, well, I really want to do it, but I'm a little shy, it's a great way to just get out and just be, just express yourself, share your journey, share what you've learned, whatever inspiration you want to share with the group. It can make you stronger. So I encourage you to do so. And plus, I don't want to be the one that's talking on the show every single week. The other thing too, ladies, if you're at a point in your life where you want to make changes and you need help to do so, I do individual coaching. So if you're interested, I have a link in here when I post this. You can go in and sign up for a free consultation, you know, because it may be something that you're thinking about. A lot of times we want to do things, but we just don't know how to go about doing it, or we're not sure. So I'm offering a free coaching consultation. All you have to do is go into the link and just send me a note. And here's the thing about coaching. Nobody knows that you're being coached. So I could be coaching women that are on this call right now, and you would never, ever know it. It's confidential, just so you know that if you are worried about that. And again, if you want to I encourage you to invite other women to join the group too. So Kimberly just said, I learned that the ego keep me humble as I grew and developed. It's a part of my life. I must use it to move forward and develop with courage to fulfill my purpose, and that's it. But ego gets a bad rap though. So like for me growing up, everything I heard about the ego was negative. You know, you're full of yourself, your ego this, your ego that. And I didn't realize that it is a tool to help you grow and to be part of who you were meant to be. It's not separated from the spirit, because that's how I was thinking, like the essence of who I am is my spirit. So I always want to, especially now in my life, be connected to my spirit and do things that are aligned with my spirit so that I can be my true self. And I thought the ego was fighting against that because I was thinking that ego was negative. And that was a big aha moment for me to learn that it's part of my growth and development too. And part of that is to be able to manage it. And Pam, I think you said it, and I'm definitely going to use it as a tool. Don't let it use me. So ladies, that is Coffee Talk. I'm glad to be back. It was good to be with you this morning. You know, although I had guests on, you know, I miss talking to you. So thank you so much for getting up and joining me this morning. I appreciate it. Hope you had a wonderful Valentine's Day. I hope you continue to have a great weekend. And I think we will have a guest here next Sunday. But also, as we go forward, I do want to have a guest on at least once a month. So please, ladies, come on, be a guest and share your experience with us. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Love and blessings, whatever you're doing today. Make it a great day. I will see you back here next Sunday. Take care. Bye.